What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Ango Show Live. Today it is December 23rd, 2024, and holy shit, the great Billy TKO, you are here with me.
Merry
live.
Christmas, man.
Merry Christmas to you. I want to double check, though, because I feel like we might be having some streaming issues. So I need to know, are we having streaming issues? Guys, can you see what is happening here?
Can we confirm?
Can we confirm this is working?
I know it's up on my end.
I know I see it up on your end. Are we dropping frames? Is that what I'm seeing?
Are we dropping frames?
No, we're not dropping frames. Everything's working.
Everybody saying we're good?
Hold on. Let me check my phone. I got to make sure, man. I got to make sure.
Yeah, let's see. We're going to check mine too.
Can you guys hear us?
Is that what I'm seeing? Are we dropping?
Oh, geez.
No? Okay, cool. You know, the software is saying we're dropping frames. That's why I'm just...
Yeah, it says excellent connection on my end.
Okay, cool. So listen, guys, we might be having some technical issues, and my apologies if we are. I am trying out new software.
We're just getting rolling.
We're just getting rolling. And I thought, you know what? This new software allows me to go live on TikTok and Twitch and Kick and YouTube. For some reason, it said it was working on X, but it's not working on X. I'm going to check the TikTok feed because why the hell not? God knows.
Good old
Places
TikTok.
cards right. These five
I don't
AEW
even
stars
listen.
are going to have a break.
I don't even know if it's working on TikTok, but it's not a big deal if it is or isn't because we will figure it out eventually. But guys, Christmas is in 2 days. Me and Billy have not streamed together in a very long time.
Bro, in so long.
And I'm super excited that we are live together. Again, we're on multiple platforms, and
We're doing this thing.
you know, I figured we would talk. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, and I think I put together a very nice thumbnail. To
You were
kind
very
of lead
excited
us.
about it.
Yeah, I'm. Listen, Billy. Billy,
Ango.
listen, dog. Listen,
What's up?
you and I,
Yeah,
we go back.
way back.
Some people might be watching, they might not know who you are,
Yes.
but you were the biggest AEW ass kisser, booty licker I have ever met in my life for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
And you have
Tell him some more. Tell him some more.
you've kind of changed your tone a little bit.
I had to.
And I figured, okay, well, let's talk. There's going to be a lot of things we could talk about. And guys, today's stream, it's loaded. We'll be live for an hour. If you guys want to support the stream, let me tell you guys what you could be supporting because this is very huge. I've been telling people kind of low key, hey man, I think we're going to get back to the live streaming at night. And
Yeah.
And Billy and I, we haven't done this in a while. And we'd figure, let's just shoot the shit. Let's talk about some wrestling. But also, when you support this channel and you support Billy's channel, I think it's going to motivate Billy to keep doing this shit.
Ah, there it is.
That's what I'm just trying to motivate the guy. I'm just trying to motivate the guy.
We're rolling, man. We're rolling. So if you guys support, what it does is it supports me, helps me put back into what I'm trying to do here. It's the same for Ango. You're helping us put back into what we love to do.
For sure. We want you guys to be part of the show too. So we're going to interact with the chat. But it guarantees if you guys drop a super chat on my channel or Billy's channel, if you become a member on my channel or on Billy's channel, it guarantees that your questions or comments will get read. So if you guys want to support in time for the holiday spirit, feel free to do so. I do have the alerts triggered on here. Excuse me. I do believe I still have it set up for the $5 or more will activate TTS, which will automatically interrupt us if you guys care about that. But I think we should start off. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. And Billy, I just want to get your assessment because
come on.
We're getting towards the end of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That we are.
tell me your thoughts on AEW in 2024.
Things have not looked good, brother. They have been off-putting, if I'm being honest. I haven't kept up the same way maybe I once did before. You know how you entered this stream saying I was a quote-unquote ass kisser of AEW. I really was. I was heavy on AEW, but these days things have changed. The tone has changed. That is a true statement. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a Tony Khan thing. It's just off-putting these days for me personally. I'm not saying that's for everybody. I'm saying for me personally. But what do you assess of AEW in 2024? Don't get me wrong, the matches are good. I have to put that in there.
Sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it, right? You said it's
Yeah.
off-putting.
Mm-hmm.
And the matches are good. Okay, hold on. The chat is saying it stopped. What stopped, my friends? Can you tell me what stopped?
Yeah, what stopped?
What's happening?
Well, it says here, YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming as such. Viewers will experience buffering.
Oh, we're having technical issues. Okay, so
Uh-oh.
let's see.
It says open widget.
Okay, hold on. This is what happens when you try streaming on 15 different freaking platforms.
Mine says back excellent.
Are we good?
Mine says back excellent.
I'm so sorry, guys. I feel so bad.
Hey, man, things happen.
It's still rolling. Okay, so what I did was I disabled on every other platform except for my channel and your channel.
Cool.
And it looks like we are great. So
yeah, stream is healthy. Stream is healthy is what it says.
Everybody good?
Stream is healthy. We're back.
Okay.
We should be back rolling.
Thank you. Okay, I do apologize for that, by the way. It's just obviously
we're in a lot of places.
We're trying to do a whole bunch of stuff. So back to the conversation. If we're having technical issues, guys, please let us know. I really thank you guys for doing that. And by the way, just slap a fucking like just like that button for us.
the like button.
Yeah, so listen, I think AEW, what's actually really funny is I feel like I have a little bit of a different approach to AEW than you do.
Okay.
Because what I have been saying for a very long time is actually not, it's not anything new. It's just inconsistency. And 2024 continues that trend of AEW being inconsistent. So
For sure.
what I want to do is I want to ask you, because you said you kind of like, you don't keep up with it as much as you did. What would you say is like the thing that drew you away from AEW?
Oh, dude, it was that MJF Adam Cole story. I think once I seen how bad that got, and when MJF turned heel all of a sudden, listen, I think you can get away with the whole MJF being a babyface thing and turning him heel later on down the line, but you couldn't finish one storyline to make it make sense. Like that Adam Cole, and turning Adam Cole babyface from being the devil, like it just didn't make any sense. And now it seems like MJF is just kind of floating. That's what it seems like to me. I know he cut a pretty decent promo on Collision this past Saturday or whatever, but even that, it's like it doesn't hit the same, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So it was definitely that story that I think drove me away and seeing that go downhill.
Yeah.
Which is funny. People can go back and look. We had conversations of that storyline and what we thought may happen with it. And just to think like how overly excessively wrong that all went.
It did. It did go wrong. Now, looking back this year at AEW, I have I have this thing, right?
Okay.
And let me see. People are saying the stream is still frozen. So let me just check something really quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Are they still saying that?
They are, but on my end, it shows that it's perfect. So let me just double check. Okay, interesting. I see on my end it's good. So It's cutting every 10 seconds. Okay. I don't know what to do. Huh.
Let's see. Yeah, it looks good. I pulled it up on my YouTube.
And it's fine. Okay, people are saying it's not frozen.
Okay. Are we just dropping a lot of frames?
On my end, I'm not even dropping frames. It shows that I'm no longer dropping frames, so that's the only thing.
Yeah, it says the same thing for me. It doesn't say that I'm dropping any.
Let me see something. Let me lower my video bitrate, maybe.
Yeah, no, it looks good.
Okay, everybody's saying it's fine. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Sorry about that, guys. Honestly, I swear to God, I'm literally just trying to figure out some new technical stuff, and it's crazy, and I don't want to keep interrupting the stream with that. But obviously, we'll have it figured out by the time we go live again.
Right. We'll figure this out as time goes.
So, here's the thing. Oh my God, we just dropped half the fucking viewers. So
Did
that
we?
means, yeah, that just means like everybody just got fucking disconnected from the stream. What is going on?
Oh no.
Right, maybe. We'll have it figured.
Oh no.
Okay, yeah, that's weird. Very weird. Okay, hopefully we're good.
We're just gonna hope.
We're just gonna wing it. Either way, I have this recording, so worst case scenario, I can always edit it and just
upload it. Yeah. How's it looking over there?
People are saying the stream dropped.
They're saying it dropped?
People are refreshing and it worked. Okay. Refresh and see if it works. Thanks, fam. I'm not getting any errors on my end anymore. I was earlier.
Neither am I. I'm going to look at yours.
Yeah, look at it.
Oh. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Real Take Wrestling super chatted $10.
Okay.
Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to both of you in the chat.
No,
hope everyone
some
has a
people are
restful
saying
and
for
happy
people
holidays.
that dropped, what platform are you using? YouTube is fine for me. It hasn't dropped at all.
Yeah,
yeah, okay, so YouTube is saying that it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, guys. Shout out to everybody who is with us and experiencing the technical issues. You know, it is
big apologies.
Yeah. Shout out to Real Take Wrestling really quick. We'll get back to our conversation, Billy. But Real Take Wrestling, Omer dropped a $10 super chat. He says, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to both of you and the chat. Hope everyone has a restful and happy holidays. I share the same sentiment. This is my favorite time of the year.
Mine too.
I have surprises for everybody in the fam, and I got some tricks up my sleeve for everybody for Christmas. So I'm excited. It's my favorite time of the year. And if you guys are a piece of shit during the holidays, make sure you're not, because it costs you nothing to be a good person. And spread the holiday cheer. And shout out to Omer. Thank you, brother.
It's so funny. We were just talking about Omer.
Yeah, I know. Fucking love that guy. Great guy. Okay, let's talk about AEW. Everybody does this doom and gloom type shit, Billy, and I'm not going to do that. Everybody thinks I do, but I'm not a grifter like that. I think AEW has suffered from inconsistencies. And I think AEW right now, if you watched Collision this past week, if you watched ROH Final Battle on Friday, if you watched Dynamite the last 2 weeks, Dynamite and Collision are starting to feel a little bit old school AEW, which for me is like my preference of AEW, right?
Yeah.
Not 100% perfect. Definitely has its issues along the way. Whatever it may be, I think AEW this year has just battled the inconsistency bug, which is Tony Khan's biggest issue that he's had since running AEW. Now, with that being said, one of the things that you mentioned was the Adam Cole and MJF storyline. I did a whole video on this. I think the storyline sucks. It's trash. AEW has to move on from it.
It sucked from the start.
It did. And it was a dumpster fire from the beginning, and nobody's going to be able to change my mind there. However, what I would like to point out, or what I would like to say to you, as somebody who left AEW, and you mentioned kind of like the storylines and stuff like that, but they have good wrestling. I want to know from you, what will it take to get you back to being a fan of AEW in 2025?
So I think it just goes back to consistency. I think we're gonna nail that word in, consistency. With that comes good storytelling. I need consistent storytelling that is going to ultimately make sense. There will be long-term payoffs because right now it doesn't feel like things are getting paid off. And what I see is a lot of people making excuses for AEW saying, well, if you look at it this way, I don't listen. I watch WWE and I watch WWE because it's simple right now. You know what I mean? It doesn't take much for my brain to process how a storyline is playing out and what it means.
Yeah.
When I have to do research and deep dive into, oh, well, the storyline works this way or it works that, I don't want to do that. That's uncomfortable as a fan, especially if you're a casual fan.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do that because if a casual fan's watching and they have to go do research and they have to come watch a billion YouTube videos, what is that really doing and saying for your company?
Yeah. So, you know, I'm gonna fight back a little bit here with you.
Okay.
I feel like in not too recently, but in like the last month or so, I think AEW has done a slightly better job of tying all the loose ends together across their stories. Now, when you talk about like researching stuff, I do agree that AEW has a tendency to do this. Now, a perfect example of this, guys, for those who don't know what I'm talking about. Recently, Jack Perry is having issues with the Young Bucks, but we saw that take place recently in New Japan Pro Wrestling. We didn't see that take place on AEW television. So what I think has happened with AEW, and when I say inconsistencies, I think AEW understands what they're trying to do. I think their execution is the issue. So sometimes you'll see something happen outside of AEW, and it's your responsibility as a viewer to know everything that's happening outside of the program. And then AEW doesn't really introduce it to the television screen, or they don't follow up on it.
That's a huge problem.
Now
that is a huge problem.
Now everybody knows how I feel about ratings, but if you guys are watching this live and you don't know how I feel about ratings, I just want to put this out there. I do not believe the physical numbers that are reported are the actual accurate amount of people who are watching the show. However, I do believe that AEW and WWE, you can tell when those numbers are up or down. I think it is slightly an indicator for as to whether or not those shows have any sort of momentum, right? So I think there's a lot of wrestling fans, and I hope somebody fucking clips this because this is my favorite part of live streaming and talking with you, Billy. I hope somebody fucking clips this because there's a lot of little fucking nerds out there on social media who will sit here and talk about these numbers as if that's the actual number of people who are watching the show. And that is not how it works.
Because they don't add like Hulu and stuff like that. Like
they don't add in anything, brother. You don't even know if you have a Nielsen ratings box in your freaking house. So at the end of the day, nobody knows exactly the amount of people, right, that are watching the show. However, I always say that these ratings that come out can indicate whether there is some momentum behind a product. Now, in order to actually gauge the momentum and the interest in a product, I can show you numbers of the TV viewership, or I can also tell you about the attendance, right?
Yeah.
Now, in this particular case, Billy, the ratings have gone down significantly. The attendance has gone down significantly. Now, there's going to be a lot of people who want to argue and piss and scream and fight about these numbers, right? I don't want to do that with the numbers because I don't think that is a fair representation of the overall interest in a product. I think it's an indication, but I don't think it's the overall end-all, be-all for everything, right? So, for example, last week's episode of Dynamite, Holiday Bash, drew an average of 625,000 viewers, and it had a 0.019 in the 18 to 49 demographic, okay? This was up from the previous week, which Dynamite had 594,000 average, okay? So, the thing is, this is not a million. This is not a million viewers. This is not where they were before, where there was 900,000. So what I'm saying is that AEW has gone downhill, okay? Do you get where I'm coming from, okay? You understand?
Yes. Yep.
So now I have properly explained the numbers. Again, for those in the chat who don't know what I'm talking about, like the numbers aren't the overall like end all be all.
Nope.
Clearly, they've gone down. Clearly, AEW has to do some smaller venues. Completely fine. It's not a big deal. However, the thing that nobody seems to be talking about is that when WWE still had lower attendance years and years ago, when they weren't selling out all the time, they were still incredibly profitable. And the reason for that is the TV deal. Okay.
Well, isn't AEW still very profitable?
I can't tell you if AEW is profitable. I can't tell you what their margins are, but what I can tell you is that AEW's new TV deal should be putting them above
in the profit.
They should
be.
If they're not profitable at $185 million TV deals per year, that's very worrisome.
Right.
But what I want to talk about now is those ratings. So when the AEW ratings came in, right, and we see 625 or 594,000, when we see these numbers, and you specifically say that you're not the same fan as you were before, you listed your reasons as to why. The question then becomes, what can AEW to bring you back as a viewer? And I have a little bit of an issue with your answer because
my consistency.
Because it's not just the consistency, but you're talking about doing research, right? And like, oh, if you have to research or if you have to look up something on YouTube, like, do you really feel like that is a genuine answer?
So look,
because Billy, don't get me wrong, brother, you're a smart ass guy. So I want to really know the true reason as to why you're not watching AEW anymore, or as much as you were.
So, yes, I stick with my answer here that it feels like storylines, at least for me, I felt like maybe I wasn't watching on a consistent basis. Again, casual. You become a casual at some point because they had already lost interest in me. So then I'm having to go do research because now I'm watching as a casual.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm sticking to that. But on top of that, there's more to it. And I think it falls in the line of like, okay, if I'm having to do all that, and then I think I'm not as interested in the characters. I think one big thing that really turned me away, and I'm just gonna point this person out, was Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho, it just seemed like it was over. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was like it was legitimate go away heat, and I was like, okay, well, if he's not gonna go away, I'll go away. Like I'm gonna use one and just use that, right? Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, again, like I look at John Moxley and Marina Shafir and you know Pac and Cesaro or Claudio. I look at that storyline and just it felt like it wasn't doing everything for me. Mm-hmm. So I think it really falls back, and maybe it's just a personal thing. You know what I mean? But overall, I've lost so much interest in a company that I was so high on for so long. And I don't know necessarily if you're asking me another question on how they can get me back, just for me, make it make sense. And I get it. It can't be for everybody. You know what I'm saying? If they can't, they can't. But some people will enjoy it and some people won't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it falls down there.
So really long story short, quick answer. You just don't feel like they're creating compelling TV.
It's just not compelling enough.
Okay. I'm gonna agree with you to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm going to make the same argument that I've made with you before.
Bring it on.
AEW became a disaster since the moment they aired the CM Punk footage.
Absolutely.
And I'm surprised I didn't hear this coming from you because
I'm a big CM Punk guy.
You're a big CM Punk guy. And you've actually
told because I still tried to stay there even after that. I'm not sure if I'm able to cuss, but that dumb shit happened. Yeah.
You tried.
I tried because when they aired that, I was like, it was almost cringeworthy.
Yeah. So what I actually think, Billy, is that your issue, I mean, granted, it is subjective, but I would argue that your issue with AEW is actually more of a perception thing than the actual physical product.
Sure.
I would think so. Honestly, I'm going to call you out a little bit on this because if you watch AEW programming right now, like you like great matches and obviously you got storylines. It's subjective. I get it. I understand it's subjective, but the reason why I'm challenging you a little bit is that some of the things that me and you used to talk about within AEW storytelling, even though it is not consistent right now, some of their stories would kind of
Well, the
some of
Hangman
stories
Swerve thing was good.
Yeah, like the Hangman thing's been good. Like they've had some good stuff this year for sure.
Yeah.
So
Like I'm not gonna fully take away from it.
for sure. For sure. I get it. But that's what I'm saying. I think AEW, I think people expect me to bash AEW for storytelling. Like, let me give you an example. The CM Punk thing ruined a lot. It automatically drew people away from the product. 100%. Literally, it doesn't matter what AEW does. AEW can get $50 billion. I still think they alienated an audience that they will never, ever get back for that moment when they aired the footage.
Yeah.
It didn't benefit them. It didn't benefit Jack Perry. Jack Perry right now really isn't significant to the AEW product. There's a lot of people who will try to disagree with me on that. I can argue that he's really not, because if he was, he would feel like the most important piece to the show. He clearly isn't. It's very obvious. But there's a lot of fundamental things I told you 2021, 2022. I told you before, AEW doesn't know how to capitalize on momentum. That is an issue that they still have today. That could really be presented as such. However, it's really crazy though, is because they still have that problem. It only applies to certain individuals. Like, for example, Daniel Garcia won the TNT championship and he doesn't really feel that important right now. However, Kyle Fletcher feels like fucking the next big thing.
Biggest thing because he beat Will Ospreay.
Yeah. So I think there's a huge issue with AEW where I think some of the things that we've criticized in the past, it just all ties down to one thing, which is them being incredibly consistent with their vision. And I still think AEW lacks vision. And I think there's 100 people in the back who have a vision for what they specifically want to do. Tony Khan is trying to make everybody absolutely happy, which is impossible. And I think Tony Khan is a very good-hearted human being. I don't even know the fucking guy. And I'll be pretty damn clear with you guys. I think Tony Khan truly loves his business, and I think he truly tries to make everybody happy, and that's the exact issue with his company. I think it's the exact issue. And I kind of want to argue this point too. Like, this whole thing with Ray Phoenix. I think Tony Khan is in a very tough spot with do you free Ray Phoenix or not, right? And then you have this whole situation where it's like Tony Khan, being the nice guy that he is, probably would have just said fuck it and let him go. But then Tony Khan has to make sure that the 300 other people signed to his company don't do the same bullshit if they're not happy there.
I was about to say, because I think it falls down to you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
100%.
I think that's really what it falls down on. I'm not going to argue that too much because I think that is like a real thing. And, a lot of people, going back to the CM Punk thing, a lot of people clown Tony as a quote unquote boss. And now that he's doing boss things, people are mad at it.
Exactly. And it's tough because here's the thing. They've alienated an audience before. Tony Khan will continue to alienate his audience to a certain degree. But and that's why I feel like Tony Khan's always going to be in the toughest position. But the question of today's stream is, can AEW be saved from disaster? And I'm actually willing to put this out there that no matter what AEW ever does, for as long as WWE is up there, especially now with this TKO brand and all this shit, I feel like AEW will always be a niche product. I don't think they will ever have a chance to get back to, I think they've already hit their ceiling. I
hate to break it to people, they're what TNA was in 2010.
I don't know if I would go that far. I don't know if I would go that far. I think that's a little too much, to be honest. But I do. Okay. I do think so. I don't think AEW is at that point. However, I think for AEW's issue, right, is that they've hit their ceiling. I don't think they will ever get close to hitting their ceiling again. The only direction they have is to go down. And I feel like that is a fucking problem, because if AEW doesn't deliver excellent content, if AEW doesn't make everybody happy, then all that's going to happen is people will just get sick and tired of it. I think it is impossible at this point. I mean, I wouldn't say impossible, because nothing in this world is impossible. However, I think it is far unlikely that AEW will ever get to the point of where they were before. However, can AEW be saved from disaster? Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you why, Billy. All these things that you mentioned, right? The inconsistency, you might have to look online to do a little bit of research about what's happening. Maybe things aren't tied in altogether. Let's just say AEW is just gone down the shitter completely. And by the way, 2,000 seats, 2,000, 3,000 seats is kind of what they're doing for TV now, 1,500, 1,800, whatever. They're low numbers. However, the one thing that Tony Khan is that nobody can argue, I don't give a fuck what content creator or podcaster, I don't care, Eric Bischoff or Cornette or some of these other people that I keep seeing pop up that people talk about. Respect to everybody, right? But this guy is a billionaire, whether it's his money, daddy's money, it doesn't matter. AEW dies the minute that they no longer want to pay for it. And the reality is that is very unlikely because I do believe Tony Khan is truly in love.
Tony loves the business.
I think he truly loves the business. And I think he loves the potential of making money off the business. And I think it's really important to note this because I don't think a lot of people will talk about it. AEW can keep doing what they're doing and keep losing fans and keep whatever. But I think as long as Tony Khan has that product where fans are coming to his shows and wrestlers like working for him, he will always be doing this.
Yeah, and I want to emphasize this. I'm not hating on AEW in the slightest stretch here.
Yeah.
I'm really trying not to. I have a lot, and I mean a lot of respect for what AEW has done.
For sure.
I mean that wholeheartedly.
So
I have to put that out there.
There was an interesting comment. It was a super chat from Big MGM for $4.99. Big MGM says an issue not a lot of people mention is not playing to wrestlers' strengths. For example, Monet and Ricochet cutting so many promos. First of all, Big MGM, thank you for the super chat. But this is what I was talking about. Tony Khan's got money. He can keep it going. Yeah. This is one of the fundamental issues with AEW booking that I do agree 100%. I think there are certain talent who are being utilized correctly and just certain talent who won't be utilized correctly. I think, for example, Kyle Fletcher, it literally is becoming one of my favorite wrestlers in all of professional wrestling right now.
Listen,
for example, though, that's how I feel about Kyle Fletcher. Now, in the super chat, Ricochet's name was mentioned, and I want to transition to Ricochet because we saw Ricochet getting toilet paper thrown at him at Hammerstein Ballroom. I made a video. I said Ricochet in AEW is a disaster. Billy, how do you respond?
Listen, I think no matter what way you look at it, Ricochet himself had a ceiling.
For sure.
Whether that would have been in AEW or WWE, I genuinely think Ricochet was always going to plateau somewhere.
Yeah.
And what's happening right now, I will say this. As much as he's plateauing, it's almost like intriguing to watch. It's almost intriguing to see this happen and the hate that he's getting. That will make somebody want to tune in. Because I'm seeing somebody like yourself say, oh yeah, Ricochet in AEW is a disaster. Well, now I got to go see why. And they're throwing toilet paper at him. That feels very old school wrestling, which I can truth be told, get behind. And if you want him to play a shitbag heel, it's corny and it's cringy, but I can get behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like.
You know why I'm getting behind the Ricochet heel turn?
Why is that?
Because it is so cringe. To be honest, I really think it is cringe. I think it's corny as hell. But I love the fact that when this happens with Ricochet, it just allows him to dial it up to 1,000, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially in that video, one of the things that I talk about with Ricochet is that Ricochet is in a situation where everybody expected him going to AEW as a lateral move. That's exactly what it is. Like him going to AEW is a lateral move for sure. He can win the Continental Classic. It's still a lateral move. He went to WWE. He won singles gold. It's not like this guy wasn't a champion or anything, right?
Yeah.
But I want to address this super chat because the super chat said something about not using them, or not playing to their wrestler's strengths. And to a certain extent, I actually do agree with that. But I think what's really interesting to me with the whole Ricochet thing is it is absolutely his weakness. We know that promos are his weakness.
Bro cannot do anything on
we
the
know
mic.
that. Yeah. So if we get to a point where, I think like with the whole Ricochet thing, it's kind of become enjoyable to watch the fact that this is his ceiling. Like I don't think Ricochet will ever be a world champion. I really don't. I don't think Ricochet will ever. He's not a great character, But I think if you play into the fact that he's not a great character, I think that's going to make for some really good content. The toilet paper thing is actually really funny because he's wiping his balls. I don't know if he was wiping his ass, but I forgot who pointed it out. I saw Fightful had a fucking great headline. They're like,
well, dude, when he flipped off the crowd and everything,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
Mansoor, I think he tweeted out or said something like, why do you wipe that way, Ricochet? Like, it was kind of funny. You know what I mean? It was funny. It's funny. It's cringy. But here's the thing, right? Like, going into the super chat, though, if you look at Mercedes and Ricochet, there are certain people in AEW, it just doesn't matter their name or whatever their experience. They're just not utilized correctly. And then you have certain people in the company, Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher. I think it's very easy to look at those guys and be like, wow, fucking awesome. I really love that. I really, really love that. And then like, I think like there's obviously coming off a final battle, we'll see what happens with ROH, but like Commander winning the TV championship was really cool.
And then I've seen him like crying backstage and stuff like that. Like, I think those are cool little moments that, like, listen, I'm not going to sit up and say like some people are being super drastic. Like, oh, AEW's going to die. AEW's no, they've just plateaued right now.
No, they've plateaued. They've plateaued forever.
Fair.
They've plateaued. I don't think they ever see there's a lot of people who will read this headline. They're not going to listen to the whole conversation. I know there's people in the chat that are already calling us like AEW haters.
Oh yeah, I've seen it all over.
But that's fine because I've learned to accept that the IWC just doesn't understand this aspect of things.
Right.
AEW doesn't need to be at 1 million viewers in ratings. They don't need to be in 10,000 seats arenas to be successful.
Oh, they could. Yeah, I was about to say two things can be true at once.
Yeah,
you could plateau and you could still sell.
Exactly. Again, it's just you have to tackle your niche and that's it. This whole idea of them trying to be super competitive with WWE, I think it's a dead idea. I don't think it should ever be. I don't.
Well, the Hammerstein Ballroom looked great.
Brother, do you know what's my favorite part about TNA? And we're gonna transition to TNA in a second because it ties into AEW. My favorite thing about TNA is notorious for, as long as they have been around, they've always done small venues and always had a way to make it look like it was bigger than it actually was. And with AEW, look how drastically different the last few shows have been, where they do like these unique, smaller venues. It becomes more lively. It doesn't look like a dead product.
You get shit like the toilet paper.
So
it works.
So that's why I bring that up, because it's like, that's okay. You can still be successful that way. You know what I mean? And by the way, like, I'm not even trying to come to the defense of AEW, but I will. There's a lot of people who are posting doom and gloom type shit about AEW dying because they sold 10K seats for All In Texas. Let me just be really clear on this, guys. Like, the show is not until July. So if they already sold 10K tickets, shout out to them, because that means there are people who are interested in going to a stadium show. Does AEW have the popularity that they once had? No. Will they ever get it back? I genuinely, truly believe they will never get it back.
I think that's one of those things where people are just excited for
who
maybe have heard of it.
Yes. But as far as like actual growth, they've plateaued forever. And the truth is this: the minute that they aired the CM Punk footage, they lost a core part of their audience. People no longer took them serious. Now, Tony Khan needs to say, I know this is my audience that loves and respects what we do. Let me give you the best shows possible. And maybe, just maybe, it's enough to eventually break through the ceiling that they've hit.
Yeah.
I don't think it will be enough. I don't think the wrestling ecosystem allows them to, but I think that's okay because they could still be successful, still be profitable, still have a desirable product. I will say this: in 5 years, we will come back and watch this live stream and we'll see if I was right or wrong. But as you guys know, Billy knows this, I have been right more than wrong.
Like I said, we've talked about it off stream numerous times.
We've talked about it off stream, in stream.
Right.
And that's why I feel like, chat, I know you guys don't get this, but me and Billy have had some live streams where Billy was, hey, like I said, he was kissing their ass a little bit. And I would tell Billy, I'm like, Billy, this is a problem. This is a problem. And now we're starting to see things that I was talking about years ago have happened, and you're like, holy shit, you were right.
So it comes back to what you just said in the beginning, and me giving my speech and and how I felt of it being a perception thing. I will say you're absolutely right. It is a perception thing, because I look at the things that have actually happened, and I'm like, okay, those are just my thoughts. You know what I mean, and how I perceive it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I agree 1,000%. So thank you for breaking that down, Ango.
No, for sure. All right, here's some interesting stuff. I want to turn our attention to some news about TNA.
Okay.
This news directly impacts AEW for a variety of reasons, and that's why I think this will be interesting. Chat, please feel free to join in because this one is interesting. So last week, there was some news that came out that TNA will begin to air TNA Impact exclusively on Sportsnet 360. Now, for those who don't know, Sportsnet 360 is a big channel in Canada. It is the home of all the Canadian hockey teams for the NHL. Oh. And this is the channel where WWE was broadcasted on Canada before WWE moves to Netflix, right? So a lot of people don't know this, but this is where you desire to be on TV. If you're a professional wrestling company, this is where you would want to be. And they made the announcement today. It was officially announced by Sportsnet that TNA Wrestling will air on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Exclusively on Sportsnet 360. So they have replaced WWE's programming, basically. Because
WWE is going to Netflix.
Correct. Now, for those who also don't know, WWE is leaving Sony Sports Network in India, because WWE is headed to Netflix, which is massive for WWE. But now this opens up the doors for AEW. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because TNA's new TV deal in Canada actually hurts AEW's global reach. It hurts AEW's reach in the country of Canada. The performance, the viewership in Canada is actually not as strong for AEW as it is with TNA. So with TNA, and there's a lot of importance to this, but for TNA to get Sportsnet 360, it's a really a massive deal. But it was an opportunity that if AEW had, it would have done great things for AEW, because AEW Collision
would have boosted the product.
Yeah, Collision's going to USA Network and Dynamite is on TSN. Both of those channels just don't have as much visibility. They're not as popular channels. Sportsnet is clearly available in more homes, and it's a little bit more of a popular channel. So it opens up a really good door for TNA in Canada. Now, when you look at India as a potential expansion for these companies, TNA already has a TV deal that they signed last March, so they're not going to be able to get a new TV deal because they're currently under agreement. But with WWE leaving the Sony Sports Network thing in India, that leaves the doors open for AEW. So in a way, TNA kind of hurts AEW in Canada. However, there is an opportunity for AEW that would do great wonders for them if they were able to snag that TV deal that WWE no longer has. So the reason why I'm bringing this up, Billy, first I'll get your reaction, but secondly, I'm going to ask you right now, based on all this talk about TV deals, based on TNA's uprising and potential growth, do you believe that TNA is coming after AEW's growth? Do you think they will become a threat to AEW? I have my answer, and it involves these TV deals significantly, but I want to hear your reaction first.
So, yeah, of course. Of course TNA is going after AEW's growth. Because, okay, here's the thing, right? A smaller company like TNA has been overlooked numerous times. They get to play with WWE. We have all the stuff that they've done over with NXT. Looks great for their company. People, especially when nostalgia hits, everybody's like, oh, yeah, I remember TNA, da-da-da. And then AEW the whole time is looking ahead at WWE rather than paying attention to that third brand, that little guy in the background who's trying to take your spot and potentially could. That's who you need to be. I get it. You want to look ahead and you want to look forward, but you always have to watch your back. Because behind you, there's always somebody chasing that spot.
Oh.
And that's TNA to AEW right now. Because TNA knows they're not going to be able to play with WWE right now, but they know that they can play with AEW. They do know that for a fact. So, yeah, if you ask me, and if I'm giving you just a quick, easy answer, yes, TNA is 1,000% looking to take that spot.
I said this before, Billy. I said AEW should be less worried about WWE, but they should be more concerned about TNA. The AEW tribalists, the marks, they absolutely hate when I say that, but there's a reason for it. What we are seeing internationally with TNA and their TV deal is a very big indication that Anthem, the company that owns TNA, is willing to, because they owned the network that TNA was airing in Canada, which was Fight Network. It tells you very much that TNA's parent company, Anthem, is willing to get away from their TV networks in order for TNA to actually grow. So that tells me a couple things. One, this will make the wrestling industry healthier. I think TNA trying to be a little bit more competitive and getting new TV deals will not necessarily make a threat to AEW. I don't think TNA growing hurts AEW, but I think what it does is actually make AEW better, because when you're at the top, you have to worry about people below you trying to take your spot. And if AEW isn't worried about what's at the top with WWE, and they're more worried about the behind, it's going to force AEW to get better, right? Now, when I talk about the new TV deals for AEW, yeah, like their TV deals right now in Canada really aren't that great. But obviously, it's not the primary market, which is fine, right? It's not like that drastic of a deal. But for TNA, it is very telling that Anthem would get them off of Fight Network to go to Sportsnet. Now we got to look at in America what's going to happen. Ring of Honor is about to get a new TV deal. There is some rumors. I've tweeted this out. And I'll talk about this here on the channel. I've heard little rumors that Vice TV is trying to get into sports, and more specifically wrestling and MMA. So if Vice is trying to make that jump, Ring of Honor, which was something I heard floated around, I don't have confirmation on this, but I've heard that Ring of Honor on Vice could very well be a thing that happens. Now, with that being said, let's say Ring of Honor goes to Vice, or let's say Ring of Honor goes, better idea. Let's say Ring of Honor goes to Fox Sports 1, right? Okay,
FS1. Yep.
Sure, FS1, right? Let's say that's where Ring of Honor goes. Then whoever else was in contention for Ring of Honor, the first thing they should be doing is picking up the phone and calling Anthem and bringing in TNA.
Yep.
Now you have a healthier wrestling ecosystem, because that means ROH and TNA have relatively good TV deals. Not the best TV deals, but relatively good TV deals compared to where they were before. So when I say that the new TV deals hurt AEW in Canada, it does. But it goes to show you that Anthem is willing to do something with TNA that maybe they weren't willing to do before. So I do firmly believe that we are in a situation that just in general ultimately will lead to some really good stuff. Really good and happy for TNA to get that the Sportsnet deal. Very happy that, maybe even the doors could open for AEW in India, because global expansion matters, especially professional wrestling in India is relatively big. So obviously I look forward to seeing what happens with that. But as we dissect this conversation and we analyze things, it's just important for everybody to remember exactly what's at stake. Content could be really good. It could be really bad. But at the end of the day, for Tony Khan, for Anthem, for WWE, what matters is the money that they're getting. And when WWE went to Netflix, that opened up a lot of doors for all these other wrestling companies. And now we got to see who takes advantage of that. We have not seen AEW take advantage of it just yet. Doesn't mean that they won't, but they haven't yet. We're already starting to see TNA do so.
Yeah, it's the truth.
Okay, couple things that we're going to talk about before we call it a day. The live stream flew by.
It did.
It flew by like freaking crazy.
We had those technical difficulties in the beginning. Sorry, guys.
And I'm so apologetic for that. I'm gonna try to make sure this shit goes smooth as hell. Darren Buss dropped a $4.99.
Whoa.
Oh man, cough. Wow. $4.99 super chat. If you had to remove 10 wrestlers from AEW to make the better product, hold on. If you had to remove 10 wrestlers from AEW to make the product better, I don't understand the second half of your question, Darren. There is a lot of spelling.
Yeah, I see it.
So I'm gonna guess that you mean if we had to remove 10 people, who would it be to make the product better?
Right.
That's kind of the way I'm reading it. It's hard to answer that question because I'm not going to advocate for anybody to lose their jobs.
Absolutely not. I can't do it.
But what I will say is that AEW doesn't have an issue with the people they have signed. They have an issue with how they use the people they have signed.
Boom.
So the way to do that is give ROH a brand of their own, and that would be the most important thing.
And let them thrive.
Exactly. Okay, so Billy.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you a little bit about 2025. I think this is the best way to end the stream.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. So WWE in 2025, AEW in 2025, TNA in 2025. The way that we're going to break this down is literally just talking about some bold things that we'll see happen in pro wrestling 2025.
Okay.
So first thing, I'm going to give you a couple things that I think. I want you to react. You'll give me a couple things, and then I'll react. Cool?
Cool.
Number one, Shane McMahon truly does arrive in AEW, not as an on-screen figure, but as a backstage component. He's going to be an element that helps Tony Khan backstage.
Hey, I'm with it.
I am predicting that Shane McMahon comes into AEW not only as a he'll be there on some aspect of on-screen, but I believe Shane McMahon will join the company as an executive vice president. What is your reaction?
You don't think he's going to be on screen?
I think they'll have a moment where he gets introduced to AEW on screen. Other than that, I don't think so.
Okay. I could see it happening for sure. Yeah, I'm not against that. I think a lot of signs point to just Shane McMahon being there in the first place.
What are your thoughts on Shane McMahon being an executive vice president?
Tony Khan needs help. Get him some help. Somebody who knows the business.
Okay.
No better than a McMahon who many people thought were actually going to take over WWE for a long time.
Okay.
So yeah, get the help, man.
Okay.
I think it'll be crazy to see a McMahon in a different company.
For sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if they're adding an executive vice president, that means one has to go. So I am going to fully predict that Kenny Omega's career in AEW ends in 2025.
Yeah, just the fact that he's not returning.
He is.
Well, what I was going to say is he's not returning in AEW right away.
Yeah.
Just kind of tells me that, things, whatever the case is, I'm not going to predict or I'm not going to sit here and speculate. But just overall, him not returning and wrestling in AEW right away and him just going to New Japan tells me kind of where Kenny Omega's home is.
Okay. Yeah, I think we get Kenny Omega out of AEW.
Yeah.
I do believe that. And then my third bold prediction that I have for 2025 is that WWE this is a little crazy.
Okay.
I think WWE will fully cater to Netflix, rendering the idea or the notion that WWE SmackDown will basically entirely become useless, meaning that WWE will fully end the brand split.
Yeah.
And I believe that NXT truly becomes the third brand, meaning that there will not be a call-up system.
Okay,
and
so there will just be people on that show.
I believe WWE will intertwine everybody for Raw on Netflix.
Well, I think we've seen a sign of that when they started doing the transfer portal. I think that's kind of what gave that away. Now, do I think that SmackDown will become useless? The fact that I know that they're keeping Cody on SmackDown kind of told me that they're not gonna leave it as useless. I think as long as you keep certain superstars over there, because some people hate the brand split. I actually like it. I enjoy the brand split, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
It's not something I'm fully against. So I don't want to see it die. I think because I remember when the brand split died back in like 2012 in that era, that tore me away. Now, obviously, it could be different now. Not the same person running the company.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I don't see SmackDown necessarily becoming useless. I think it'll still have momentum. But that's a hot take. We'll see.
For sure. 2 super chats that I want to read because I think they're relevant to our conversation.
Okay.
So Omer from Real Take Wrestling dropped a $4.99. He says AJ Styles in AEW 2025. Billy, what's your reaction?
Who? Man, hey, listen. AEW, like I said in the beginning of this stream, great wrestling, real professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Like if you enjoy the sport and the art of professional wrestling, you get it in AEW. And who is that? It's AJ Styles.
Yeah.
So I could see AJ Styles fitting that mold easily.
Yeah, I know.
That's fair. That's fair. But I think AJ Styles is one of the best wrestlers that there is. So yeah, him in AEW, I'm not against it. Not saying it will happen, but I'm not against it. Hater.
I love you, Omer, but no, I think AJ ends his career in WWE. I think we see AJ Styles in Slammiversary for sure.
I was about to say TNA is more likely.
Yeah, we see AJ Styles at UBS Arena for sure. I don't think AJ leaves WWE for AEW. But I actually wanted to say thank you, Omer, for the super chat. But there's another one, and this is my final prediction of 2025. But GOS SIG dropped a $4.99. Basically, the question is who main events All in Texas? And I wanted to read this out because I think this is really dope. AEW, I feel like, has done a relatively good job with their women's division in 2024. Far better than they have in recent years. It's not perfect, but I feel like they've improved a lot. So one of my predictions for 2025 is that we will, in fact, see Mercedes Moné main event at All In. And her opponent will not be anybody who is currently in AEW. I fully predict that there will be a massive women's signing for AEW in 2025. I believe that there will be another major free agent that joins the company. I am not going to say who, but I believe that Mercedes Moné will not debut. She'll main event at All In Texas against this debut. It is absolutely insane to think about. I'm not dropping names.
Hey.
But I believe that AEW will have the women main event.
Okay. All right.
Give me your predictions for 2025.
I think my first big prediction in WWE is John Cena and Randy Orton. I think that's a huge thing that I do see working out in the cards eventually.
Yeah.
I don't see a world where John Cena retires without putting his foot in with Randy Orton. CM Punk in WWE as a world champion. I see that becoming a thing, I think, sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
In AEW, I think we see Will Ospreay. I think he will. You talk about the main event of All in Texas. I actually think Will Ospreay will main event All in Texas against who I'm not 100% sure, but I do think that just the backing that he has had, I do see there being a world where Will Ospreay main events. I think they love Ospreay there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Just a quick reaction to that. Ospreay, if he's not world champion in 2025 for AEW, Tony Khan lost the plot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let him be your big baby face. Like that guy.
Yes, that's your guy.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Really quick. You know how me and you would have conversations about Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes like main eventing?
Yeah.
I look at Will Ospreay as like a massive baby face for the company, and I've been just a huge fan of Kyle Fletcher. Like I really hope they build Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay like AEW's version of Cena and Orton. So like if Kyle Fletcher isn't a main event act feuding for a world champion with AEW, I'll be shocked.
Well, that's who I want it to be. If you want me to be 100% honest, I want it to be against Kyle Fletcher. I think you have a best friend storyline there.
Yeah.
Real life best friends as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? kind of the same way Orton and Cena were. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's something I could easily get behind.
Yeah.
I see Chelsea Green becoming one of the biggest things in WWE, if you want me to be 100% honest with you. And I think that would be all my big takes. I see Gunther being a break. He's already been a breakout, but I see it getting even better in 2025. And I want to say that's about all I got right off the top.
I have one really big prediction as well.
Okay.
This is gonna sound really crazy. There's no rhyme, reason, or logic being applied to this, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a very, very strong feeling that TNA will be, in fact, sold.
To who, Ango?
WWE.
Yeah, I was waiting for it.
Yeah, I think WWE is going to make Anthem a strong offer. And I think the reason why is because WWE, especially if TNA could get a great TV deal before WWE tries to go in there. I think WWE is so dead set on this WWE ID program that if NXT truly is a third brand, then TNA could be a thing where...
That could be your developmental system.
I don't want to say developmental, but it could be a place where like they keep doing business as normal, the way it's been.
Oh, okay, but just putting people there too.
But hey, there's certain people in NXT or the Performance Center who aren't ready for NXT television. We could put them in TNA, that type of thing. For some
and they're
reason,
still getting the TV time and stuff.
Yeah, and by the way, let me just be very, very freaking clear. There's no rhyme, reason, or logic that I'm thinking this. For some reason, I think WWE only enters in partnerships where they can benefit long term. And I have this weird inkling, like it's just like this weird itch in my body that tells me WWE is going to try to buy them out. And I think WWE will only try to buy them out when it's actually makes sense for them. And for Anthem, it wouldn't make sense like for them to sell just yet. But if they got TNA a good TV deal, stuff like that. And then this way, look, Jordan Grace is going to go to WWE. Josh Alexander might go to WWE. That could be a thing. So it's a very crazy prediction, but that's why I think to a certain extent it could very well happen. And listen, the beauty of this conversation is that you literally never know what could happen. So
we could be completely wrong on most of this.
Yeah. Okay. Just a couple things that I want to read before we call it a stream. So let's get to that. Excuse me for 1 second. Darth Bane, member for 3 months. He says Matt Cardona in WWE by the end of 2025. That's interesting because who the fuck knows what's happening with Matt Cardona right now?
Yeah.
David Primero dropped $1.99. He says John Cena wins his first Intercontinental Championship and 17th World Heavyweight Championship. Billy, what is your thoughts on that?
If you want me to be honest, I don't think I think you can give him his 17th. I don't think you can give him the Intercontinental Championship. I think at that point you're doing too much and you're making it too known. But if you want to put him in the storyline for the World Heavyweight Championship, absolutely, I think you can get away with that. I just don't see a world where they give him every single accomplishment this guy has ever worked for.
I wouldn't be mad though.
I wouldn't be mad at it. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I would be mad at it. I just think there's a reality to it, and that reality is you can't do everything for this guy, and he still has to put on compelling TV.
Yeah.
Like he said, he's going to put on the best television that he can. He's given everybody the last of them. So,
no, I agree. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan, and I'm ready to see what they do with Cena.
Yeah, I'm excited for his return full time. So it'll be nice.
Yeah. Yep. Actually, I have a video coming out tomorrow about it.
Sweet. So make sure you guys are subscribed to Billy on YouTube at BillyTKO. Tomorrow we will not be live because tomorrow's Christmas Eve.
Yes.
Wednesday's Christmas Day. What I can say is that we have talked about doing more streams.
That we have.
More than likely, we're going to try to do them at night. We'll figure out a schedule of some kind.
We're going to figure out something that works for us.
But I know we will be live for sure. Raw on Netflix right after. And that's going to be a very, very big fun stream. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Billy, I don't know why. I just miss doing this kind of shit. So,
dude, me too. Me too, dude.
I appreciate you pulling up.
I appreciate you having me, man. It's always a pleasure. I love seeing your chat and stuff like that. I love hanging out with you guys. You guys make it really easy. Yeah, Billy TKO. What can I say, Randy?
Yeah, Billy TKO. Dude, the guy is a freaking paid shill by TKO.
We just got a big one.
I don't know what currency that is.
I'm not sure.
Miggy dropped 150 pounds.
Oh, is that pounds?
No, that's not pounds. That's a lie. I think that's Filipino money.
Oh, okay.
From the Philippine. Yep, it's Philippine. So Philippine pesos, excuse me.
Oh, okay.
Miggy says 2025, Cody's the next big heel of WWE. I actually think
that's
I think so too. I've been saying that, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm not mad at that at all.
Really quick, Billy, before we go, I'm gonna give a shout out to Permanent Press here. Can I spare 8 minutes of your time, Billy?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not gonna need 8 minutes. I'm only gonna need one. Ready? It's this simple. Permanent Press says, I see WBD being sold to NBC Universal, which will hurt AEW. Guys, I actually 1000% have predicted this before. You are going to see a lot of streaming networks and a lot of TV networks being broken off from their companies and consolidated into like 2 or 3 major ones. So if that were to happen, Billy, what are your thoughts?
So I think then, well, what happens is WWE is really in control of the wrestling market.
Well, no, because they don't own NBC. So
hold on. So
yeah, it would be really weird.
It would hurt, is really what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I agree with Permanent Press here. I just wouldn't be good. That's deep.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That one's really deep.
Just remember, guys. I muted myself.
Yeah, you tapped a button.
I fucking love AEW. Oh, that's crazy. Appreciate you guys pulling up, stopping by, chilling with us, hanging out, dropping the super chats, liking the stream, commenting, chatting, and listening to us ramble about wrestling.
Thank you guys for having me back.
Yeah. Billy, everybody, have a Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Kwanzaa and Hanukkah are also coming up. So whatever you guys may celebrate, hopefully you guys are all happy, enjoying your time with your friends and family. Billy, appreciate you being on here.
Absolutely.